that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at having really good attorneys, not to say they're bad, but having a good attorney that we can count on. And if it costs a few dollars to get us there, I say now's the time to spend that money, now's the time to do it. Before we get into it, I mean, we're in the middle of this stuff, let's have good legal advice while we're going through it. Let's not wait until it's all over and then bring in an attorney that we can count on.
So I would ask that council members coming up to the executive session put together their thoughts on what they want as city attorney, so that we can discuss it in depth, in detail at our executive session. I mean, it's important that we get together and decide what it is we want from a city attorney.
Is that something we can talk about in executive session?
I don't.
I don't think so. I think
Well, I mean, we can discuss it, we can't vote on it.
No, we can't go to executive session.
Let me confirm that for you.
I believe the only thing we can talk about in that executive session is what it was called for. We can't deviate and talk about other things.
We could discuss it in a work session. Also, if we didn't want to
Yeah.
council.
No, I think that we need, as individuals, we need to put our
Gotta
heads,
speak up, people.
we need to put our heads together and come up with what we want in the city attorney. We need to identify deficiencies that we see now, and we need to identify what we want them, what kind of service they want.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I just don't think we can do an executive session. I think we can do it in a work session.
Well, we can do it. I just hope we do it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with Council Wilson, that is something we need to do. And I would also point out that sometimes this isn't just a matter of good advice versus bad advice. This is in many cases, fresh advice. It's a fresh view, it's a different view. Because our attorneys give us an opinion. When we're not confident with that opinion, it doesn't mean that we think it's bad. We just don't think that perhaps it's the freshest and most accurate opinion that could be.
So excuse me, like I say, I agree with you and your approach. I just don't think it's appropriate to do it in an executive session.
But I was using the executive session to get an answer.
Oh, you didn't mean that.
Thank you.
You didn't mean that.
Say that, I didn't hear what you said.
He was teasing me.
Go ahead, Lou.
Then, I think your September 6th meeting would be a good opportunity for your work session before you go into your September 12th.
So we could talk about those things.
Susan,
I think at this point that I.
speak up, please.
I think at this point that I need to go on record as the finance director to let you know that there could be, because of potential lawsuits that are pending litigation, any way you wanna word it, changing attorneys now could have a financial liability to the city that all the councilors should be aware of. I'll prepare a packet of information for each of the counselors to review that will give them a little bit of an overview of some of the information that our current council has been made aware of, so that they will be able to make a more informed decision.
I think we already have that information. Isn't that what you said that we just got?
The stuff you've been withholding from us?
No,
Well, if you haven't been withholding it, then we have it.
well, you know what, Gary? I do have something for you. If you want it tonight, you can
I
have it
want it tonight.
This is a conciliation. I was made aware that this discussion might come up. And I'm in a rather precarious position because on a personal level, I have to change attorneys, I love it. But as a finance director, I do have an obligation to let you know. This is some of the information that was forwarded to the city attorney to let them know, because I have an obligation to the city to make the city attorney aware of information that was found and then will be used against the city in a potential email, I'm gonna go through quick with bullet points, you guys can take this home and read through it at your leisure. The first one is a copy of an email that was sent in January 2016. There was a 4-2 vote.
Can
On
we
the
have a
council.
chance to review this on our own without being
Well,
schooled?
I'm just gonna give bullet points, I'm not gonna go through it very fast.
I'm
I'm
really
gonna go
not
through it.
interested in
I'm not
bullet points.
interested in
Because it
looking
has to do with.
I'd like, you handed me something, I'm not sure what it is, I'd like to look at it.
All right, well, I would like to make one comment, Gary, if you'd let me,
Sure, please,
as the
make your
mayor.
comment.
On the first one that was from 2016, there was a council vote at that point, a 4-2 council vote on a community center conceptual drawings, there was 2 of them. At that point in time, we had 3 women on the council, Dawn Kenyon, Amy Buckmeyer, and Judy Rowland. This is the comment that was sent from our mayor, then mayor at that point, Jim Coley, to the Alan Longstrom and to Luke Longstrom of the South Bank Development Company.
Point of order, what
I'm just
bearing
letting
does
you-
this have?
Well, I'm just wanting to point out, this is the stuff that he has, you can read through it, and you can, and go through it on your
Well,
own.
let's read.
There's some bullet points in it. You can-
There's no sense in,
That's fine.
in pursuing.
City attorney has it, so it's okay.
So you're gonna prepare
So you
something
prepared-
for us
No, you have it.
relative to
No.
why we should or should not consider, why we should or should not change attorneys? Is that what you started out to say?
This is some of the information that your current attorneys have. I'm just making you aware of it.
So,
That's
Louis,
all I'm saying.
did you direct Susie to provide all this information to the attorney?
No, I did not. That was when the mayor found all of this information. It was-
Did you direct Susie to provide all this information to our attorney and not tell the council?
No, but I sent a lot of it to the attorney.
Did you not share with the council what you were sharing with the attorney?
Not at that time.
Why, may I ask respectfully?
I'm not sure.
Now,
Go ahead.
I believe one of the reasons she did not let everyone know at council at the time is there's some possible violations of meeting laws and other things in the documents that were sent forward. And again, I haven't seen them all. And, but those types of things, that's why they were forwarded to ensure that, hey, where are we at? So I don't believe there was any intent to hide anything from the council, but she was forwarded.
So you directed Judy to do that?
I didn't directly do that.
But you know what her intent was because you asked her or told
I
her?
did not
She
ask her.
told
He
you.
did not even know I was forwarding them to
But you
us.
didn't know why you did it, but you do know why she did it?
I didn't say I didn't know.
I'm totally confused.
Every time I turn around, somebody's saying, and you violated the public meeting law.
So,
I didn't. So I'm tired of being beaten with that stick.
Again, after this was all sent, that's what it seemed to me it had to do with possible violations that she forwarded to the city attorney.
But Judy did, Mayor Rowland, you said you didn't know why you sent this.
Possible violations, and she's sending this to the city attorney, and we don't even know about it? How does that work? Somebody explain that to me?
It worked the same way it did in March when we did it.
It was what?
It worked the same way it did in March when we did it.
Same way in March when I did it.
No, we asked permission.
What did I do?
So, Mayor, as everybody said, let them take it home, let them read it, and then you're gonna have a work session on September the 6th, am I correct? So at what time do y'all wanna have that?
Well, you wanna wait till 6 or do it earlier? That's it?
5:30?
What time do you get home from you, Josh?
I can do 6.
That's good.
Gary, can you do 6?
I'll make it work.
6 p.m., September 6th.
September 6th.
City Hall.
Thank you. Is it gonna be here or work session?
Well, we can do the work session, here. We normally do them at City Hall, the work session, but we can do it. To be determined.
Okay, let us know.
Location to be determined.
Part of your discussion is going to be on this, considering a different city attorney. That's what the work session is.
So, excuse me, this whole discussion that we just had, is it on tape? It's on tape? Can I have a transcription of the tape? Rather than just the notes?
You want a copy of
Oh.
the tape?
Okay, a copy of the tape.
We can get you on
I
it.
want a copy of the tape. This whole little story. I don't know what was said.
Absolutely.
Well, you've got it too. Yeah, I want an official copy, not your.
I'll have it on YouTube, you can watch it.
Tune in.
Okay. Community services, 7.1.
Okay, council, so one of the things that was discussed was we were asked to test the wells. Can't even find my own We were asked to test the wells themselves, not just the system. And again, I just got this today. I was still on the phone with the engineer just right before coming here. Here's where we're at. They tested individual wells, and well number 4, they tested with the tetrachloride filling, the PCE, so what we got from the new well, number 7. So it did test with that contaminant in that well. So TCE was detected in the sample collected from well number 4 at a concentration of 0.1 parts per billion. This value of TCE detected in the sample is very low, close to the detection limit of 0.5 parts per billion of the laboratory instrument performing the analysis. Basically, in a nutshell, that is the lowest amount that instrument can test. The maximum contaminant level for this compound in drinking water is 5 parts per billion. The MCL, which is the maximum contaminant limit, the MCL, as you recall, is the legal threshold limit established by the U.S. EPA on the amount of a substance that is allowed in public drinking water. Currently, the city is operating all 4 wells of the well field. The total production from all of these wells is 800,000 gallons per day. Of that amount, well number 4 produces a flow of 210,000 gallons per day, or 26% of the total production. Waters from the well field are blended in the chlorine contact chamber prior to entering the city distribution system. This blending process further reduces concentration of the TCE from well, and it should be well number 4. Okay. Not 2. Well number 4 to approximately 0.21 parts per billion prior to any use of the drinking water by city residents. This concentration is about 24 times less than the legal limit of 5 parts per billion. During warm weather months, all 4 wells are run whenever the well field is in use, thus maintaining a constant blending of the groundwater from well number 2. The well field also runs between 10 and 12 hours a day to maintain adequate fire flow storage volumes in the east and west reservoirs.
Again, that should be well number 4.
Yep, number 4 again. Thank you. Given these facts and that the concentration of TCE detected at well number 4 was so low, almost undetectable, we do not recommend taking well number 4 offline. If the city chooses to discontinue use of well number 4, it may be necessary to curtail irrigation at Salmon Creek and Green Waters Parks along with the Highway 58 rest area to maintain adequate fire storage in the reservoirs. During a significant emergency event such as a fire or main break, it may also be necessary to turn number 4 back on to maintain adequate supply to the system. We do recommend continuing sampling of all 4 wells for TCE. We would see performing the sampling monthly for 4 to 6 months, and then sampling quarterly for a year to determine if the results found in the sampling round change over time. So that's from your engineer. So, question of the council is, through the dilution in the boring contact chamber, it's 24 times below what the maximum contaminant limit is. And so the question is, do you leave it online, or do we take it offline? Now, I believe that if you take it offline, and we quit irrigating those parks, I believe that we'll be okay on our water, and we should be able to maintain our 800,000 gallons that we are producing. But again, we would monitor that. And then if we fall below the production levels that we need, then we would fall under ordinance number 913, where we would use our water curtailment plan if necessary. And so, before council discussion on the matter. And again, we were expecting it a month before we got the results. We got them in 2 weeks. So, and again, we got them today. And that's why I felt we needed to discuss this today.
Questions before I comment on what I think should or should not happen. So, we water Salmon Creek Park as well as Green Waters Park with treated water. Okay. We do not have the capacity at all to pull straight from either water source that runs right by it to use for water.
I can ask the question because we do still have a water right to the middle court there by Green. It's a question I can ask.
And also, thank you for getting this. When we first started talking about this, we voiced our opinion that we should find out who the wells are being currently, and we kind of danced around that for a while, so I'm really glad to get this. I don't personally, while I don't want anything in my water, I recognize that not all water is pure. I'm sure, no, I don't know. I mean, I just don't. In my opinion, I would say leave it online as long as it's diluted, and as long as we continue to monitor it monthly to see whether it goes up or down. I could be convinced otherwise easily.
It's 24 times less. Just, yeah, I would think monthly testing for a while to see what the results are. Here.
How much does it cost to test more?
I would have to, I don't even know what the cost is. But I do believe that, it's a reasonable amount. I don't think it's anything that's going to break the bank, so to speak. And again, I like the recommendations that the engineer proposed, monthly, 4 to 6 months. It should give us a pretty good baseline, in that 4 to 6 month period, and then quarterly after that, for a year to determine where we're at with it. Yeah, so that the recommendation is to check it monthly for the next 4 to 6 months. I would agree with that recommendation also. That's what I would recommend.
In case we need water, or, like that, and not have the extra water.
And that is one of the key issues is during the summertime, it's best to have.
So what do we do if, I mean, cross that bridge when we come to it, but what if the testing shows that the levels are coming up?
Then.
Cross that bridge when we come to it.
Well, we're technically working towards that bridge right now, with the grant that y'all recently approved, the dollars you approved for the grant to try to locate another well. So that may also assist with this.
So how long will it, so if you took number 4 offline, did not use it, and something came up that we needed to use it, fire situation, whatever, how long does that take to put it back on?
So, the engineer felt like it could come back online fairly fast, within a couple, 2 to 4 hours each time, fairly fast.
So it would be available if we needed it. And monitoring it, if we see an increase, then we would, I personally, think, the council would want to know right away. Not wait for council.
Oh, well, no, like I said, I didn't wait, I got it today, and we will let you
I
know.
know you didn't wait, I know.
No, we would, no, so, I know, and I know how the council, I have a pretty good idea how the council feels about this issue and how the citizens feel about this issue. It's important, water, gotta be safe, so it's a pertinent issue that has to stay way above board and in our face until we get this.
So in 2 weeks, because we took this sample 2 weeks ago, so in 2 weeks, we would take another sample.
Well, no, we'd wait a month.
But if you took it 2 weeks ago, in 2 more weeks, we would take another sample, that would be a month, that'd be 4 weeks.
So we had this sample 2 weeks, so we had a sample 2 weeks. Oh, you're saying, give it the 2 weeks and that's the month? I see.
Yeah.
Okay, then yes.
That's what I would say, that would be approximately a month.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then move forward, and you're
Yeah.
correct.
Because it takes 2 weeks to get it back.
Yeah, so what, 15th.
Yeah,
Okay.
around that.
All right, so what I'm hearing from the council is that we go with the recommendations on the back page of monthly sampling